or or anything like that. To the contrary, being responsible to the environment is actually being responsible to ourselves. It's being responsible to our families. It's being responsible to our communities. It's being responsible in all the ways that we at Purium know are important and, and necessary to be responsible. And so there's so many similarities. There's so many analogies between how we need to clean our gut, how we need to detoxify our body, how we need to get rid of the excess waste that accumulates there so that our bodies could flow freely, so that they could work naturally, And there's this thing, that people talk about, called terrain theory. And I believe in that. I believe that germs are around us. Absolutely. And inevitably we will be exposed to them. And the difference between you and me and A and B and B and C is what our terrain looks like, what our microbiome looks like, how many essential elements are in our body at the time that we need to defend us through our immune system. And so when we look at our mother, when we look at the earth, I want you to think of the earth much like us, except for, I want to make something really clear. What I do is not so much about protecting Mother Nature. It's not so much about protecting the earth from our damage. Because you have to remember that, we are temporary, but the earth has been around for a long, long time. And the earth has survived ice ages, meteors. The earth has survived massive, volcanic eruptions, climate change, all those things that killed all the animals that were around, extinction of all the species and stuff like that. And the earth will continue to survive. It'll evolve. And, the 10,000 years that plastic spends in the environment, or the 100,000 years that radioactive waste spends in the environment, that's a lot of generations for humans. Okay. And it's enough for us to go extinct, but it's nothing to the earth. The earth will shake off 100,000 years, like the blink of an eye. It's us, it's our children. And so there's another saying, and it's a really crude saying, and I want you to forgive me, but it says, you don't defecate where you eat. Okay. Y'all hear that saying? It's a pretty crude saying, right? But in some of those crude sayings, they come from truth. They come from real truth. So if you're going to drink water, that's probably not where you want to pee. Let's put it that way. Don't eat yellow snow. All these old sayings, they're pretty smart, aren't they? Just think about it. And so if we pollute the water we drink, which we have extensively, and if we pollute the air we breathe, which we have extensively, if you just read the most recent report about air quality in the United States, if we pollute the food we eat, which is even worse, which we have extensively, 75 to 95% of our food has glyphosate, and only 1% of it is organic. That means 99% of it is grown with some chemical that is not natural, that is not intended for human consumption. 99%. And what percent of water do you think runs pure the way it did at the time that Christ or Buddha or any of the people you admire walked this earth? What percentage of the water runs pure the way it did when our great grandparents walked this earth? Because only 100 years ago, this planet was chemical free. Only 100 years ago, this planet was chemical free. Only 100 years ago, this planet was chemical free. And look what we've done. With now less than 1% of the food being chemical free. I don't think you could find water that's chemical free, but let's just say a small percentage. And if our water isn't drinkable, if our air isn't breathable, if our food doesn't nourish us, then it's not so much about protecting the earth. It's about protecting us. Now, if you've seen my book, my little booklet called The Toxin That Came to Dinner, right? It's like being told that, by a pack of wolves, come over, we want you for dinner. And they're not inviting you to share a meal. So the toxin that came to dinner will illustrate in a very graphic way through charts and scientific references that are many, that are verified, validated, indisputable and undisputed, that directly correlate the rising chemical usage and our suffering. Our suffering. Now, if you know me, and many of you haven't been around for long enough to know that we stood on stage many times, year after year after year, and rededicated ourselves to our commitment to ending human suffering, to protecting the next generations of children that will come on this earth, and knowing that we're part of a generational change. We're in the center. Our great-grandparents, our grandparents, and our parents above us, our children, our grandchildren, and our great-grandchildren below us. We are always at the apex of change, each and every one of us. And if we refuse to heal the past, to take responsibility for the sins, if you would say, of our fathers, then we will continue to suffer. Our children will continue to suffer. So this isn't about being an environmentalist. This isn't about protecting Mother Earth, although those things are rather cool to many people and even to me. But they don't have to be cool to you for you to agree with what we're doing and why we're doing it. What we're doing and why we're doing it is because if you pay attention, the United States, this great country of ours, is 96th. 96. There's 95 countries that have better health than us. Think about that. We're number one? No, we're not even in the top 10, the top 25. We're barely in the top 1/3 of countries in the world in health. Barely. Longevity? Somebody look it up right now and put it in the thing. Americans' average lifespan is like 36th in the world. Again, not even making the top 10 or 25. And we talk about what great healthcare we have, or at least what great doctors we have. And God bless them. God bless those doctors if we need them. Okay. Life expectancy, 77 years average. But compare that to the world. Okay. Again, we're around 36 compared to other countries. So let's not keep fooling ourselves and say we're doing great, because we're not. We're not doing great. Okay. And we could do better. We could do better. Not sure why. There we go. So We can and need to do better. And I'm just going to say this really bluntly. The time of being selfish and leaving it to other generations has to end with us. We need to be the ones who are not afraid to say that this is not political, this is not generational, this is not religious, this is not anything except for us protecting ourselves, our families, our communities, our future. We're in this together, every single one of us, locking arms, facing this future danger together. I've got a lot of friends in Florida, and in the next 10 years, alone, insurance companies have said they're going to stop insuring coastal communities. That's hundreds of billions of dollars of property that will not be able to be insured by people who work their lives for it. And that's because the rising sea levels. Okay. Thank you, Jody. You're such a rock star. I love you. So Jody, jump on, share with us what you got, if you can. Life expectancy.
I can do that. Do you want me to share the screen?
Please.
All right. Let me bring it up. Here we go. So there it is overall for the world. So females live longer than males, but both sexes average 73 years. And Japan, Hong Kong, actually, number one, Japan 2. Let's find the United States here. You can see as we're going down. You said 95th, is that what you said?
No, 30, around 30 something. I thought.
See. US Virgin Islands is 33. Let's see. Did I miss it? Anybody see it? Costa Rica, Guam, Chile, Qatar, Puerto Rico.
No.
My gosh, look at this, you guys. United States, 46. Cuba is ahead of us. Cuba.
Wow.
Oh my gosh, that's wrong.
It is accurate, but it is wrong for sure, Jody. It is absolutely wrong. We've been lied to. We've been deceived. We've been like totally sold a bill of goods that like we're one of the longest living countries. We're one of the healthiest countries. We're one of the best taken care of countries. No, no, and no. And here's the thing. I'm about personal responsibility. Million Mom Movement. It's all about being responsible. You know what I mean? And so I want to ask everybody now to just dig this, as they say, as we used to say, because I'm 60 now. Okay. So we have now saved your company, you, we, us together, all of us with all of our differences and all the ways that we're the same. We have saved 80 tons of plastic from going in to landfills, waterways, the environment. 80 tons of plastic. Okay. That is a mountain. That's a mountain. And here's the cool part. As of today, when you place an order with Purium, every single product with one exception, and I'll explain that in a moment, every single product with one exception will be shipped in our Terra pouches, okay? In our eco-friendly, plastic-free, no. Now some people are going to go, wait, technically a plastic is any compound. Okay, we're saying petrochemical free. Okay, ours breaks down. Ours, becomes part of the earth again within a very short time. Now, the reason why Super Amino 23 is not yet part of this initiative is because it is a pharmaceutical grade product made by a pharmaceutical company. And pharmaceutical companies, that's how pure our protein is. It must be handled and made by a pharmaceutical company. And because of that, they bottle it. We're not allowed to. Okay. And they're not yet capable of using our packaging, or sure, in their backward thinking scientific mind sometimes, excuse me, whether this is a good idea. And we've been wrestling with them like an alligator down in the swamp in Florida. And we have not yet pinned them, but we're gonna. So pray that we do, and we'll keep pushing forward. Okay. Somebody said, why are the super amino 23 just white pills? Because the super amino 23 are a very unique product in our line. They are plant-based, they are vegan, they are non-GMO, but unlike our other products, these are specifically designed, and were specifically designed for use in hospitals, specifically designed for use by doctors, specifically designed for use in clinical situations. And they are so effective, so amazing, and so natural, because all they are is isolated, pre-digested amino acids from legumes. And for people with liver and kidney problems, for people who have poor digestive issues, for people who are trying to maintain, muscle as they age, and so many other reasons, especially if you are in a coma or have on a dialysis machine or were paralyzed, then the super aminos were the answer. And we're blessed that the doctor who created them, the doctor who patented them, the doctor who had 36 clinical studies published in peer-reviewed journals, gave us, the only company, the right to sell these products in this way. So we can't control that part of it, but we are so blessed to have this protein. And for those of you who feel blessed to have the super aminos, give me a 3 in the comments there right now, because I'll tell you, they are life-changing. And we're going to get there because we're in evolution. Okay, we're in evolution. That means that we bring everybody along in a beautiful, nice way. And I want to share some more just things with you about Purium that you may not know. And, you may have read it, you may not have, but this all started, just like everything has a root. I went to Hawaii and I saw a movie called Aina. And all of our Hawaii people over there, they said, you got to meet this guy, you got to see this movie. And I saw this movie and it said, hey, we got to worry about GMOs, but the real problem is this chemical called glyphosate. Okay. And I said, whoa, you know what? I see the research and he's right. And so I set my course. I became a bulldog, laser focused on making sure that I did not rest until the world had a solution to glyphosate. It was such a big problem. It was such a problem that it literally threatened humanity. And I always dreamed of being a superhero. What if I find a supervillain? What if I find a villain? Will I step up? Will I be a superhero? Or will I sit back and run in the face of the monster? And I made a decision that ordinary people could do extraordinary things. I was told in my religious classes that God would choose fools to do the great work. And I said, make me that fool. Make me that fool. So who else would tilt at these issues that we've tilted at? Organic. Do you know that we were organic before there was organic? We helped establish the very rules that are organic today because we were so passionate that we traveled around the world. We were the OCIA, the organic CIA. And we went around and we spied on all the people who said they were organic to see if they were telling the truth. And then we decertified them if they weren't, until we got government regulations and we finally got that USDA organic so we could have an umbrella of safety. because I saw that problem, that people didn't have proof that their food didn't have chemicals. And I said, we could change that. We could fix that. And we did. And we created the USDA so people can now know if their food is organic, because I wasn't afraid to be that fool. Okay. I wasn't afraid to take on that monster. And when I saw the movie Ina, and I saw the problem with GMOs and glyphosate, I said, we've got another villain who's trying to take and kill humanity. And we had to go after that villain, and we did. And we created Biomedic, and we did a clinical trial, and we proved that we could remove that chemical. We could defeat that monster for us and our families and our communities. We took aim at a huge problem, you guys. That's who we are. We went after a massive problem, and we were not afraid of all these big companies, billions, hundreds of billions of dollars they told me these companies had. How could you go after them? But we did. And we continue to, because truth and love have no bounds, no limits, and can defeat all enemies. So now we see this, and we turn our attention to this problem of plastic. And everything is a mirror. Whatever you hate in the world, it's because there's a part of you. There's a reflection of that. The smart people know that. Every time you're angry at your loved one, it's because you say, wow, they're a little bit like me, and the way they're acting reminds me of me, and I don't like that in me, so I'm not going to like it in them. But we're not going to get into psychology right now. What we're going to say is that when I saw the plastic out there, and I was so angry at all the other companies making plastic, I then realized I was one of those companies, even though my food was organic. And I tried to justify it. I'm like, well, each serving of my food, if you cut the plastic bottle into 30 pieces, and then you just attribute one of those 1/30th of that bottle, then really that's just that much plastic per meal. And I was doing my best to justify it, but I couldn't. So we had to go into it, man, and it's cost us so much of what other companies call profit, and we just call it energy to do what we need to do. And so what other companies call profit, we put into plastic free, to bamboo and hemp and emission, and all those speedy machines that spin bottles and organize them and line them up and rush them and cap them. Those machines are now history. We don't need them anymore. What do you do with $1 million worth of machines? You just put them off to the side. That's why industry won't change. They kept telling me, we can't do this, Dave. What are we going to do with these machines we spent $1 million on? I said, you know what? They got to go. They're the past. And we did. And it was hard. And yeah, people look at me sideways a lot, even still. Remember when it was easy? Remember when the machines did everything so fast? You got to have courage to change the world. You got to get uncomfortable to change the world. You have to be willing to sacrifice, to make personal sacrifice, so that other people could be better, to change the world. So we took that stuff that other companies call profit, and we put it into people. We put it into what we always do, our quality, who we are, how we do it, why we do it. Knowing that every single thing we do has an impact on the world. Every single thing we do is going to leave a wake, and it will impact others. And so that responsibility that we feel as a company, I don't know if you know it, but how many companies send out tens of thousands of paychecks every month? Those are pretty big companies that do that, right? Well, we're one of those companies. Okay, we're one of those companies. And I'm so proud that what we call conscious commerce, think about that. Not just making money, but making money without leaving your POOP on everybody when you leave. So I just have to tell you that we are permanent residents here. So when we throw our trash on the highway, it's just like throwing the trash in your living room. Okay. And everything we do, we have to think as if we did it ourselves. And when people ask me, how do I learn to speak nicer, like to my spouse? How do I learn? I said, well, how do you speak to your children? Gently, with love, for fear you might hurt them with your words. Well, speak to the person you're angry that way. Speak to the person you're angry with the way that you would speak to the most precious person in your life, your child, who you would never want to hurt. And when we think about that, look at the environment. Think of the environment as our child. Think of the environment as a precious, young, delicate thing. Because the truth is that what we see today is actually going to be what our children live in tomorrow. And we can't forget that. We could never forget that. And so, I want to just really emphasize that this is so apolitical. Okay. And too many times, I've seen protecting the environment be adopted by some political party. No. Nobody gets to own that. Nobody gets to own that. This is everybody's, because we all share this earth and we all share our future and we all share this goal. So today on Earth Day, I want to make sure that everyone knows why we do this. It's for you. It's for me. It's for our health. It's for our parents' health, our children's health, and the generations who will follow us. We know that we have an impact. And I'm going to say this one more time so you understand it. We know that the earth will have its own natural fluctuations, the same way that we will get exposed to a virus at some point. Okay. But will we, because we're unhealthy already, actually succumb, or will we survive? Because we are healthy when we have that issue. So natural fluctuations in our environment are going to happen. We'll get exposed to germs and things like that, but the stronger we are when it happens, the greater chance that we'll survive. And the earth is the same way. Our animals, our creatures, our insects, these things, they're all really important because they're all interconnected. And you can't remove one without affecting the other. And that interdependency is just like the holistic approach we take to health. That every unique herb, every unique mineral, every essential fat, all of the pigments, all of those things, they got to be there together in order for us to be completely healthy. And so right now, everybody, I'm going to take questions. I want everybody to say that embracing a better future, embracing a better future for this planet is really just embracing a better future for its people. And I want everyone just to say, to themselves, what could I do? What could I personally do right now, today, to try to make a difference? And if we all ask that, then we can. Okay, if we all ask that, then we can. And I want to, before we take questions, I just want to 30 seconds of silence for people suffering that don't have any inkling that it's Earth Day today, because it's Survival Day for all of our brothers and sisters in the Ukraine. I want to offer you my prayers. Thank you for your strength, for your willingness to fight for what's right. And from you, I want to be inspired from all of those people who are willing, to put themselves on the line to protect their own people, their land. I just want to say that, we see you and we're with you. And if that offended anybody, I apologize to you. But that's where my heart is right now. And so in the same way that we love Purium and we love to be healthy, I want us to think about those lessons and how they apply to our earth. And again, the way that we love our children, I want us to think about our actions and how they impact our children. And I'm open for questions. So if we could get one of our million mom magnificos to moderate, I would love to take some questions.
Beautiful, Dave. Thank you so much. So moved by you. And there's a lot of love in the chat happening for you. I just want you to know. Mary Beth Fleming, Crown Mary Beth, welcome.
Hi, everyone. Dave, thank you so much. It's such an honor to be on this mission with you. And I just really appreciate your heart and your passion and mission. And thank you so much. I have a question about, I've heard people talk about at one point in time, Purium outbid Monsanto with the purchase of some rice farms in Thailand. And I was just wondering if you could elaborate on that at all, or let us know that story.
Absolutely. So there was a time when our rice bran extracts were not organic. And the reason why is because organic rice, people who buy organic rice oftentimes will use brown rice, and the amount of rice, organic rice bran, was really difficult to come by. And so I realized that I needed to actually sort of control the entire rice process. I don't like the word control, help along the entire process in a way that would be more holistic. And so we heard through, our group of organic farming partners that there was a consortium or a co-op of rice farmers who were trying to form. And when to help they would put their rice together and then negotiate a buyer. And that way each one of them didn't have to go out and find their own buyer each year for their rice. And when we heard about that, we started asking them if we could be like their rice customer and just take all of their rice. And they said, well, we're about to sign a contract with a big agricultural company. And they're guaranteeing us, this and that so I sent them information showing them that they would then be buying chemicals from that company every year, that they would be not allowed to use traditional strains of rice that they had been growing for years, and all the downfall from going GMO and making this consortium with the big ag company. And they agreed to work with us. And so we now get our rice from these 200 Thai rice farmers. And as you know, and I think you probably heard that during COVID, they weren't as faithful as they should have been. And they sort of took their rice and sold it to the highest bidder because everybody in China and Asia and everywhere wanted rice during the pandemic. So we had a little bit of a problem with them, but we're still trying to work with them. And we do our best to support organic farmers all around the globe. And that's just one example. And thank you for giving me an opportunity to highlight that.
Beautiful. Tammy Houck, welcome, Tammy.
Because remember that the chemicals that were going to go into that soil are now not going into that soil. So that's called displacement. or, addition by subtraction.
Mhm. Great.
Thank you so much. Dave, I just wanted to take the opportunity to say thank you for being you. What you've done has changed so many lives, including my own. So thank you.
You're beyond welcome. Thank you for your gratitude.
All right. Brianna, welcome.
I wish you
Hello.
could have seen Tammy's face a little better. She was in the shadows.
Hi, Dave. So honored to talk to you right now and be a part of the Purium team. Honestly, it changed my life as well. Very grateful. I had a question. When you did you create the soil that you started to grow the Purium products on yourself? Did you kind of not monotonize, I know you don't like the word control, but just kind of separate
You want the
that?
story there?
Uh-huh.
Okay, so in Utah, there's a lake that was there for thousands of years, and it dried up about 80 years ago. And it left behind the most amazing, like literally nearly 100 feet of what could be considered topsoil. All the fishes that had decomposed, all the shells, all the soot that had run down into there from the mountains, the volcanic mountains around there, and just slowly it would fill up, a couple inches a year over the centuries. And eventually it just, completely was dried up. And that's what we converted to our farmland. And it is the most amazing soil. And what we do is something called green manure. We'll plant alfalfa. And alfalfa has roots that could go down 20, 30, 40 feet into the soil. And they sort of break down nutrients and they bring them back up to the top. And then it has something called ribosium, which is like a bacteria, that attaches itself to the root system. And the ribosium actually live and die really fast, and they pull nitrogen from the soil. And that's what's called nitrogen retention. And so we actually build our nutrients using what's called a green manure with alfalfa. All the nutrients aren't naturally just in soil. You need to do certain things to the soil, and just bringing in amendments like cow manure. That's not the way we roll, So we have different ways. And thank you for asking.
Yes, thank you for answering.
Mm-hmm.
Thanks, Brianna. Naomi, welcome.
Are you there, Naomi?
Yes.
Unmute
Hi.
yourself. There we go.
Hello, Dave. Thank you so much for restoring my health, not only my health, but my children's health. And you helped my oldest son repair from eczema and just helping his skin feel normal. And that's like golden for any mom to just witness. That's some things that I've been, sharing on my social media. And some of the questions that I receive or just concerns from parents is the formula that they're giving their babies that are, giving them eczema from soy and just other, toxins that are in there. And just came to me just to ask you, you're just an amazing scholar and just something to consider. I don't know, maybe from years in advance, would you think of a formula for babies that can soothe their belly, soothe their skin, and for moms who cannot breastfeed. And that's something that I've been thinking about for a couple of days, and I just thought I would present it to you. And I just love you, and I just love everything you're doing. I love your mission. My children love your mission. And we're just so grateful for you. And thank you so much.
Thank you. And such a blessing to hear from you. And I want to remind mamas that, our green barley juice has a very similar taste to mother's milk, a similar nutritional profile, having a little bit of coconut oil, for the baby as well. And don't forget, in Hawaii, there's the traditional, use of poi, and that's a root, a sacred root, and that is mashed up as well. And there's so many yummy ways to help, nourish the baby. But we want to get them, I can't advise for the first 6 months because that's specifically legally a pediatrician, because the first 6 months of a baby's life are considered so delicate. If anybody who thinks they know something just offers advice to a mom and they're not trained in all the right ways, that could be dangerous. So I just want to let you know the advice I give you is for after 6 months. Okay. And for mamas who are having trouble building their breast milk, obviously you could rely upon that green barley juice. I've actually had moms send me their green milk because they drank a little much of it. They were so anxious to build their milk, and they had abundant milk, and it was even a little tinted green. So for moms who need to build up their breast milk, some coconut oil and a lot of green barley juice is a really good way to do that. And for mamas who are, ready to end that part and the breastfeeding is over, a little sage tea might be what you're looking for. So there's so many natural ways just to take care of our babies, and sharing, the way that they do on the Million Mom movement and the way we do together in this community is definitely a good thing. So, but I want to tell you that I worked really hard on creating a formula, and I saw the regulations around it and the insurance around it and all the things, the controversies. And I thought, I don't think I'm quite ready to make the baby formula. But I could tell you the best parts of it. And those are the ones I just shared with you. Spirulina. It's just like a multivitamin. It's amazing. Just a little bit of spirulina, a little bit of coconut oil, a little bit of green barley juice. These things can be mixed together and, and just be super, super charged for the baby. Put it right in their bottle. And they will, like I said, it has the same pH as mother's milk, about the same flavor, same nutrients. And it's just a really great way, but it's not formula. I don't call it formula. I just call it nutrition. Okay.
Beautiful. Thank you. Thank you, Naomi. Sarah C. has her hand raised. Hi, Sarah.
Hello, thank you for having me in, Dave. It's always a pleasure to hear your amazing wisdom, and I'm so honored to be here. I just had a quick question because I know that the biomedic specifically is part of the glyphosate residue-free certification, and wanted to clarify, is all of Purium glyphosate residue-free certified, or is it just specifically only the biomedic? And if Purium, along with the USDA organic certification, will also be part of the glyphosate residue-free certification as a whole.
Yeah. So we don't really feel it's necessary to get certified on the glyphosate free thing. It's just not, we do so many steps already for assurance, and we just don't want to keep adding costs to every bottle for everybody, So there's I'm not even sure what the value of the non-GMO project symbol is anymore, knowing that it could be non-GMO and still have glyphosate. You know what I mean? So a lot of these things that we're paying for just to make everybody feel assured, they're expensive, and so we can't just do every single one. But I could assure you, that that one of the things about being certified organic, and one of the things about the testing that we do, and we're hoping that in that panel that we do on every product, it's like 265 chemicals. It does not yet include glyphosate, and we're lobbying so that panel has to include glyphosate. You know what I mean? So that when all these companies, these thousands of companies that do a chemical screening and pat themselves on the back, but glyphosate could get through. You know what I mean? So we understand that, but when you're organic, and there's just no way glyphosate could be there, and we spot test. but we don't test every batch. We'd be lying to say we did, and we would be insincere to say we believe we have to. But I could tell you that, we're third party tested regularly by a multitude of organizations, and we're pretty spotless, and we're really proud of our record.
All right. Anyone else have a question for Dave? We are so blessed to have you here today, Dave. I don't know about all y'all, but I'm getting really emotional listening to all the love that's being shared here. So much appreciation for all that you've created, Dave, and how we're all benefiting in so many ways and how it just ripples out, Jessica Barr. Welcome, Jessica.
Hello, thank you for having me on. Thank you, Dave, so much. I love this company so much. I have gotten emotional at least 3 times on this call. Something that comes up to me sometimes when I'm dealing with prospects is something they find on Google about traces of lead. And I know that I feel like I've heard Dave talk about this before, but I can't seem to find it in any replays or anything. So I was just wondering.
Yeah, we
if
have
you
a
could touch
video.
on that.
I just made a video. I think you're going to love it. And it goes something like this, right? If you went to the store and bought 3 pounds of broccoli, right? It would not come with a Prop 65 label in California. What she's talking about is in California, and in California only, there's a ridiculous law that was passed that measures the amount of lead in food. And it was originally intended to protect people who ate fish, because fish from Santa Monica Bay are just ridiculously high in lead and mercury and all these chemicals. But unfortunately, that law was used in a weird way, and they applied it to vegetables. And so follow my reasoning here. If you took 3 pounds of broccoli, you would not have to put a label on it that said Prop 65 that it was high in lead. If you took that broccoli and juiced it in your juicer, and the juice was now, let's say, 12 ounces of juice, you would not have to label that 12 ounces of juice with the Prop 65 label that it was high in lead. But if you remove the moisture from that broccoli juice, just the moisture, nothing else, and that became 3 grams of broccoli powder, then suddenly it requires a Prop 65 warning. And as you can see, it makes no sense, because it's the same 3 pounds of broccoli, which would have been the same 12 ounces of broccoli juice. And simply because we've removed the moisture, the law suddenly recognizes and says, oh, look at the ratio of lead. But here's the worst part. It's not industrial lead. It's not chemical lead. It's not toxic lead. It's the lead that occurs naturally in soil everywhere in the world. And when it's brought through a plant and it's part of that chemical matrix, it is chelated out of the body naturally by the same plant that brought it in. So it's not even a starter. Again, it's so not right that it's ridiculous, but that's the origin of it. It started with an attempt to protect people from fish. And if you eat a 12-ounce piece of fish, and that 12-ounce piece of fish is 0.005% mercury, you're getting a hell of a lot of mercury. But if it's a half a gram of powder, not a 12-ounce piece of fish, then you would have to take it for 2 years to get the same amount of mercury. So it's just ridiculous. It's not even worth mentioning. And here's the great part. The very foods they're talking about are the ones that remove heavy metals. The very foods they're talking about that we put that label on are the ones that we know actually chelate heavy metals out of the body. And the people who take those products are less toxic after taking them, not more toxic. And while we're on this subject, let me keep going on my soapbox. This ridiculousness about rice, our rice. And people are like, oh, I heard that rice is high in mercury. Well, I want you to just do a little bit of research. The people who eat the most rice in the world, organic or not organic, have the lowest amount of heavy metals in their body. Think about that. Okay. So all these things that my grandpa said, a half truth is a whole lie. Okay. A half truth is a whole lie. So all these half truths being thrown about, trying to scare people, you know, I'm getting wise to it. And I know you are too. There's a lot of people who want to lead us through fear, but we're getting smart, aren't we? I know we are.
Yes, we are. Marianne Eaton, so glad you're here. Welcome.
Hi, everyone. I'm Marianne Eaton.
Hey, Marianne.
Can you hear me okay?
I can, and that's my mother's name, Marianne.
Well, thank you for sharing that, Dave. And I'm almost old enough to be most people on this call's mother. I'm one of the grandmother people on this million person movement. And I'm emotional, and I'm also I'm emotional and a little bit nervous right now because I'm coming here today. First of all, thank you, Dave. I can honestly say that you turned my life around with Purium in May of 2019. I began my 80th decade on this planet. I turned 70. And I almost died by July because of not being able to determine why I was so sick. And it turned out after a lot of research that I had drug-induced pancreatitis, and that's not a good way to live. But in August of 2019, I began my climb back to health using Purium products. And I thought prior to my getting so sick that I was just experiencing old age symptoms. And now I know that that is not necessarily the way we're meant to live. And I'm happy to report, thanks to Purium and its products, that, you know, I am enjoying my soon to be beginning of my 74th year on this planet. So I get a little nervous when I look at those age indications, but I'm going for it. So, but the reason I'm here today is I'd like to ask for support for any of you out there that and Dave, you mentioned it earlier about drinking water, and is there drinking water that is still safe on this planet? And I am fortunate to live on the Queen of American Lakes, Lake George, which is in upstate New York. And you can Google it if you've never heard of it. And the reality is that I drink the water from the lake. And about a week ago, yesterday, I became aware that the agency that is in charge of protecting the lake has applied for permission to use an herbicide that is very new to the market and has not held up to long-term science. And the promoters want to try it. The New York State agencies that can okay this stuff have okayed it to try. There will be a vote on it this coming Tuesday. And I, like so many of my fellow lovers of Lake George and protectors of keeping toxins out of our water and our soil and everything, are frantically trying to get petitions signed to stop this, what I think of as an experiment, because they keep telling us the science is there, that it's safe, but there's so many other things. It just sounds to me like glyphosate used to be safe too. So they said. So I'm coming to you today to ask any who are interested to sign the petition. I'm going to try to forward it. I'm still learning all this technology, but I ask you for your support in trying to stop this herbicide going into our pristine, clear drinking waters. And one of the places they want to try it is right across the lake from where I live. So thank you for listening. I appreciate all your work.
Marianne, you're a hero. I want you to be really aggressive in recruiting people. I want you to be more aggressive than you've ever been. I want you to be like college girl out there, like, you know, like with your pom-poms, and just let everybody know that you care about this, because there's no voice more powerful than a grandmother. Okay, there's nothing more powerful than grandmother energy on this planet. You give birth to those who give birth. So we honor you. Okay, even if you're not a grandmother, you carry grandmother energy for this planet. You carry wisdom, you carry love, and you carry the ability to give life to those who give life to those who give life. So we celebrate you and raise you up. And we want to see that petition. We want to share that petition. And there's people in the comments right now saying, yeah, let's get it out. Let's help her out. So you've done good, but I just want to let you know it's just one step and so many steps that you're going to take. And as you regain your health, you're also going to be regaining your voice at the same time, and the power of that. Okay. And the fight that you have, that is going to be your youth. Okay. So when we don't have anything to fight for, we don't have anything to live for. Okay. When we don't have anything to fight for, we don't have anything to live for.
Thank you so much. I do have 4 beautiful grandchildren, so thank you. It is for them and all of that and everybody's. Thank you.
Thank you, Marianne.
Thank you for raising your voice, Marianne. And God bless you, Dave. We've come to the top of the hour here, and I know there's a few more raised hands. I just want to check in with you, Dave, and check your time.
Yeah, let's do 5 or 10 more minutes at the most. Okay.
Okay, beautiful. Laura.
Hi.
Hello, Laura.
Hi. Thank you so much for doing what you do. I so appreciate it. Here are my 2 questions that I have. With other things that are on the market, we know all the nutritional levels have gone down, but say, for example, a box of Cheerios, have they changed the nutritional level of those on the label? Do they need to?
So what's going to happen is they've now are required by law to put bioengineered. And that's a nice word for genetically modified.
Right.
So
I read that.
Yeah. So at least we're going to have that to warn us off, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as the nutritional panels on Cheerios, I have a hard time answering that, because I wouldn't ever buy those, you know.
Yep.
But I do buy different organic ODOs for my daughter and stuff, and I make sure to check that that company's reputable, the ones that I get from Cascadian Farms or something like that. And you know, but yeah, I mean, I don't really. So here's the thing I want to tell you is that in my heart, I trust everybody. Okay. In my heart, I trust everybody, but in practice, I look for the most verified sources before I put anything into my body. So I just want you to do the same. Signed and shared. Thank you, Angelique. Beautiful. So yeah, so I just have to tell you that the number one thing you could do to protect yourself and this earth is to buy organic whenever possible, or to buy from a company that you know is so trustworthy. Okay. That,
Yep.
right, yeah. So that's my answer.
Yeah. Okay, great. because I wouldn't buy Cheerios for myself at all, but people have the nutritional label, and I'm trying to say that food has less nutrition in it, but they look at their box and it says, well,
No,
I've
no,
got.
don't worry about that. This isn't a nutrition. We're not counting calories. We're not even counting vitamins. We are avoiding chemicals. Okay.
Okay.
It's all about avoiding chemicals.
Okay.
If
Great.
you have two foods, if you have two oat O's and one has chemicals and one doesn't, which one do you want?
Right. The one that doesn't.
Don't compare the nutrition, compare the chemicals.
Okay. Will do.
Okay. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Right on.
You're a rock star.
Great question. Patty Gebhard, welcome.
Unmute. I needed to unmute. Thank you. I just wanted to say thank you, Dave. I'm a new Purium enthusiast. I love this. And thank you, Angelo, for helping me understand what I didn't know. And I'm still learning. And I also wanted to just say thank you to all the moms here. This is emotional, and the moms, just to remind you that the mothers are the hands that rock the cradle. We rule the world. I am a mom, and thank you with edification from people like Dave and the like that just have a heart for purity and truth. Thank you. And the other fun fact I wanted to share with you is that Proverbs 4:20 in God's word, it says, for they that are life to those who find them, and health to all their flesh. And God's word is healing and food to our flesh. So I just share that with you because I just want everyone out there not only to feel appreciated, but to know that God's word is healing to our flesh as well. And thank you, Dave. And thank you for everyone that comes here to make a difference. Thank you so much.
Hold it out. And I want to remind you that of that story about the person who was in the flood, and they're like, oh, I prayed to God, and and oh, the boat came by. Oh no, God's gonna save me, and then the helicopter came by. Oh no, God's gonna save me, Well, God saves those who save themselves. I want to make that really clear. Okay.
Amen. Amen.
So if you keep up, when you keep up is when you can be kept up. When you're taking care of yourself is when the universe and God Almighty will be there saying, yes, I see you appreciate this life. I see you appreciate the gifts I've given you. Through that appreciation, you'll be deserving of more. Through that appreciation, you'll be deserving of more. And that's something I believe.
Amen.
And I live a life of appreciation, knowing that everything I have is a blessing. So I want to thank everybody for today's call. I see there might be, I have a question though for Marianne Eaton. I wonder if she has a garden, because if she does, I'm going to send her a sign that says Garden of Eaton for her.
Actually, I do have a garden. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
And I do have a garden, and I would love that sign. Many, many years ago when I was a young mom, I had a sign like that, and I don't have it anymore. And right now in my garden, I am fighting off some of nature's wonders, and that are woodchucks that seem to love what I grow in my garden. So, but thank you, Dave, and I would love that sign. I will put it out there.
Wow.
And on we go. Forward ever, backward never.
Hey, well, you let us know how many chucks those woodchucks are chucking, and we'll just wait for that answer. Okay.
And I appreciate everybody, I think, that has said in the chat already that they've signed. So I think they maybe found my petition. And if you didn't, please iMessage me, and we'll go from there. Thank you so much.
Yeah, my pleasure. And I know what to do for aphids, but not woodchucks. So you got me on this one.
All right. I may have to get back to you on that too. Naturally, of course.
Of course. Well, Stephanie, thank you so much for hosting. Appreciate you. Of course, to all of our Million Mom Movement Magnificas, as I said, you are truly changing the world. And remember that we sometimes forget the importance of planting a seed. We plant a seed and we walk away, and we hope that it rains. And sometimes we circle back and there's this magnificent tree, and all of a sudden that tree's giving us shade, and that tree's giving us fruit, and that tree's branches, as they fall off, give us the wood that we could warm our bones from. If we take care of our children, they'll take care of us. If we take care of this earth, it will take care of us. If we plant a tree, it will feed us, it will warm us, it will shade us. So in closing, I just want to say I have 224 acres of the most beautiful land with 100 mineral springs that come out of the ground. I've got bears and mountain lions and coyotes and bobcats and 36 type of birds that come across my land. And, if you guys got to escape, if you guys need to get away, I've got 14 rooms that I rent out up here. And if you want to bring a small group, if you want to bring your family, if you want to come up here, don't be surprised if you don't run into me while you're up here. But if you need to get away, there was an article that was just printed that said that nature is now being prescribed as medicine. Did you read the article? Nature is now being prescribed as medicine. Time in nature instead of drugs for ADHD, for PTSD, for depression and for so many things. So if you need to get away, and you're wondering where, just IM me or reach out and for you, your family, your group, and and come and spend some time in nature. If you'd like to do that, we'd love to see you up here, or find someplace near you. Find a forest, find a stream, find a tree to sit under, to sit next to. Put your shoes off, take your socks off, and wiggle your toes into the dirt, and know that if you've got 5G around you, the number one thing you could do is take off your shoes and socks and put your feet in the earth every day and detoxify that radiation. Make it flow through you instead of staying in you. Nature is calling you. Okay, it's saying, come visit me. Protect me. Make me stronger so that when your children come to visit me, we'll have even more fun than we're having now. So thank you for listening. Appreciate all of you. I was going to do this from outside today, but like I said, it's like 38 degrees out there. It's cold inside. Honestly, I don't use the heater. And so I was just going with it. And it's cold inside. So appreciate you guys. And remember, instead of turning on the air conditioner, take off your clothes. Instead of turning on the heater, put on a sweater. Okay. Appreciate you.
Thank you.
Many blessings.
So grateful to you, Dave. Many blessings. Happy Earth Day, everyone.
Every day is Earth Day at Purium.